Breaking tonight, a bit of a major shift in New Hampshire's coronavirus response. A stay-at-home order just issued this afternoon by Governor Sununu. Good evening, New Hampshire. I'm Tom Griffith.
And I'm Jean Mackin. The governor made that unprecedented move that will take effect at 11:59 p.m. Friday night. But essential services will be allowed to stay open.
WMUR's Adam Sexton is live in Concord with more on what it all means and how long it could last. Adam?
Well, Tom and Jean, the governor had resisted this move until this day, saying he was worried about how long this kind of order would have to last and the potential negative impacts. But he says it's more important that New Hampshire stay on the same page from a public health perspective with other states in the region, and that's why he took this action. To combat the coronavirus pandemic, Governor Chris Sununu is issuing a stay-at-home order effective Friday night at 11:59 p.m., lasting until May 4th.
We cannot stress this enough. You should stay at your house unless absolutely necessary. Of course, we will not prevent you from leaving your home to go on a walk or when heading to the store or if you need groceries or simply going to work. But beyond essential necessities, you should not be leaving your home.
The order will close what are deemed non-essential businesses like barbershops, hair and cosmetic salons, tattoo parlors, non-essential retail stores, and malls. Staying open will be grocery and convenience stores, pharmacies, gas stations, banks and credit unions, and takeout and delivery from restaurants. The governor says he is not taking this action lightly because of the number of people who will be put out of work.
Those are individuals that, for the first time in their lives, might not be able to put food on their table. And as a governor, I can't tell you how hard that decision is. But we have to also appreciate we need stamina. We're going to be in this for a while. There is an end game. There is no doubt an end game to this. But we do need to ask the people of the state to be patient.
The governor is also closing state beaches to avoid crowds gathering as the weather warms up. And the stay-home order will extend school closures until that May 4th deadline, meaning 5 more weeks of distance learning for students. And Sununu says that order could still be extended for weeks after that. And the governor also says that a comprehensive list of the businesses deemed essential will be released tomorrow morning. Reporting live at the EOC complex in Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Good evening, Governor.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much for being with us tonight and coming into the studios. A lot of viewers are asking what businesses are considered essential. That's the big question. Can you run through the list for us?
Sure. Well, it's a big list, to be honest. So what we tried to do, knowing that a lot of our businesses, our families, our communities are so connected to Massachusetts, we're still very early in this, but because Vermont and Massachusetts have made similar steps, we really tried to connect what we did here in New Hampshire with Massachusetts, with their exemptions, understanding what was essential and non-essential. The list will be put out on our BEA, the Department of Business and Economic Affairs, on their website, I believe, later tonight, and that'll give a little bit of time for folks to review it. The order goes into effect as of midnight tomorrow. There's a couple of the stipulations there. We are closing Hampton Beach as part of the stay-at-home order. We're really encouraging folks. This is serious, and really we're telling folks you really shouldn't be coming out of your home unless you're going grocery shopping, doing something essential. If you want to come out for exercise and all that kind of stuff, the parks are going to be open, so we want people to be able to enter into the fresh air as well.
So how do you find the list again?
So the list will be on the State of New Hampshire Department of Business and Economic Affairs website. It'll have the essential and non-essential. And again, this is the initial list. So if there are exemptions that might not have been put in there, or if you have further questions, there is an email that you can just email the department, and we can answer your questions very directly.
So, Katie is asking, will the state liquor stores close?
No, they will be open, just like they are in other states.
Okay, and Rebecca is asking, what do you recommend for in-home child care? What they do, stay open or close?
For in-home child care?
In-home child care.
I believe in-home child care is exempt.
Okay. Margaret says, will lodgings include small businesses like bed and breakfasts and inns be allowed to stay open?
Yes, I believe so. Yep.
Okay. And Robert asks, I work for a highway department in town of New Hampshire, wondering if my job was essential job or a non-essential job.
So I believe all municipal and government workers right now are classified as essential, but the towns will have a lot of flexibility in determining what is essential and not essential. But for the most part, construction will move forward.
Tonight, a special New Hampshire Chronicle just for us. Kids have lots of questions about the coronavirus, like,
what is the virus and why is it called corona?
Can animals get coronavirus?
and
once the virus is gone, is it gone for good?
Will I be able to go to the pools with my friends this summer?
And the answers are important for us to know.
Those are excellent questions and something that I think we all want to know, myself included.
Join us for a special chronicle when kids ask Dr. Chan about COVID-19.
Hi there and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this special New Hampshire Chronicle, and special because it is just for kids.
Yeah, it's all about the kids tonight. You know, during this time when we have to stay at home with our families and our kids, so we're getting a lot of questions from them about the pandemic, about what's going on. Some of them we can answer, but some we need a little bit of help with.
And to answer some of those questions, we decided to enlist the help of a special friend at WMUR, our state epidemiologist, Dr. Chan. Dr. Chan, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, Dr. Benjamin Chan's become a familiar face on WMUR. And I'm not a kid, but I want to sneak in the first question here. What exactly is an epidemiologist?
Oh, great question. So an epidemiologist is just a long word for someone who works to study diseases and health problems across populations like communities and states, and tries to figure out how to keep people healthy and how to prevent diseases from spreading and making people sick.
All right, next up, we've got 7-year-old Cooper. Cooper, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Hey, you doing okay? Have you read all those books behind you right there? Are those all yours?
They used to.
Ah, okay. So you're a well-read man. You do have a question. You're kind of focused on after school, after remote learning. I know a lot of kids are. So what's your question for Dr. Chan?
Will I be able to go to the pools with my friends this summer?
Oh, Cooper, that's a great question. You know, and we want people to get outside and be active. Do you like swimming? Do you swim a lot over the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So it's unclear if the pools are going to be open this summer. You know, I think there are a number of ways that we want people to get outside and be active and stay healthy. You know, a lot of people like to swim, especially in the summer months. What I can tell you is that we're looking at trying to make some beaches, for example, like a beach on a lake, open. It's easy to space out and make sure that people are not close to one another on a beach where there's more space. But that becomes more difficult when you're in a small area like a pool. And so this new virus that we're seeing cause people to be sick is something that spreads when one person is, you know, physically close to another person. And so we need to make sure that people are able to get outside and be active and stay healthy, but not be too close to other people where they could spread or get infected with the virus. So whether pools will open up this summer or not, I think is still a little bit of an unknown. We don't really know. That's hopefully still a month or two away. It's a little cold right now to be opening up pools and going swimming outside. But we're going to be seeing how this new virus spreads over the next, you know, number of weeks and month or two. And we'll have to make that decision soon so that you and others can try and get outside and be active and stay healthy.
With Granite Staters under a stay-at-home order, many small businesses are getting creative to stay open. Some are going online only, others offering curbside pickup and delivery. And as we found out, hundreds are still open for business.
Disabled pets are still getting a new lease on life, like this cutie, making the most of his outing for the day, thanks to Walkin' Pets in Amherst, still open for business. And hope is not canceled at Skin and Lash Lounge in Hampton. Neither are spa days. They're offering curbside pickup for skincare products.
We're all in this together.
You can shop online at businesses like Robin's Egg in Amherst, now offering curbside pickup or local delivery. Many businesses will ship their products too, like Fuller Sugar House in Lancaster, where the sap is flowing. Gym closed. Many, like 9 Round in Merrimack, are offering online workouts you can knock out at home. And the kitchen is fired up at Greenleaf Milford for dinner to go, reminding you to support local and take out.
And here at WMUR, we are open for you. We have a growing list of New Hampshire businesses that remain open on our website. To add your business, email openforbusiness@WMUR.com.
And help is on the way for local healthcare workers. A massive shipment of personal protective gear arrived in New Hampshire this afternoon from Shanghai, China. WMUR's Tim Callery is in Manchester with a look at how it will be used to stop the spread of COVID-19.
New Hampshire healthcare workers battling the spread of COVID-19 will receive a boost on the front lines. A FedEx plane carrying a massive shipment of personal protective equipment landed at the Manchester-Boston Regional Airport on Sunday.
New Hampshire got a great Easter present this morning.
91,000 pounds of PPE arrived on the tarmac. The shipment includes 6.6 million masks, 50,000 face shields, and 24,000 Tyvek coverall suits, a joint effort on the state and federal level.
For all of those people who are affected by COVID-19, this could be the difference between success and failure in dealing with this pandemic, between life and death.
What today is truly a jumping off point, not just for the state, but for all the healthcare facilities, all the individuals who can actually start benefiting from getting this PPE. We're going to get it out the door as fast as we can.
Governor Sununu credits local inventor Dean Kamen, who led the effort to acquire the equipment, fronting the $4.5 million bill. The state will eventually pay the full cost.
There's enough there for the police, for first responders, for the people in all sorts of places besides the major hospitals, and I'm hoping that this is the beginning of the end.
The equipment is now in the hands of the National Guard, who will deliver it to an undisclosed location where inventory will take place. Then it's off to local hospitals.
We put a census out to all the different healthcare facilities across the state. It's primarily done on a need basis, right? We want to make sure that the need is there, where the highest capacity and where the highest incident rate of whether it's COVID or other issues going on, where the PPE is going to be needed.
Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
It was simply luck that Mr. Johnson got moved to a room here at CMC with a window. Then the loneliest virus in the planet just met its match.
I just really want this to be about the nurses. You know, they went beyond.
Handwritten notes from the ICU broke the news on Sunday to the 5 Johnson siblings. The photo now circulating around the globe. The Johnsons have been keeping vigil in the park for days.
Every day we would just try to do a little something different. Yesterday morning, me and my brother went and had breakfast in the park, to try to feel close to our dad.
What no one expected is how much the Johnsons' vigil brightened the spirits of staff inside, who say they are tired and sad, incredibly sad.
They were kind of famous to the staff here because everyone would come in for their shift and say, "Oh, is the family out there?" And everyone would go to the window and wave.
We told him, as we tell all our patients, how much they are loved, that we're here for them, that we hold their hands and tell them everything they tell us to tell them. We tell all our patients.
We love you guys. We love you.
The Johnsons are turning from grief to gratitude now and plan to keep the vigils going.
There's people in there that really need somebody. I'm going to make signs. We're going to give them food. They're going to see balloons.
I asked the nurses here at CMC if there was anything we could do, anything they needed. Here's what they said. Do us a favor. Wear your mask. Do it for us. Do it for you. Do it for those you love. In Manchester, Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
We hope that you had a chance to join us for a special broadcast tonight. Project Community, New Hampshire Together from Home, featuring guests from New Hampshire with New Hampshire roots from all over the country for a very special cause, the New Hampshire Food Bank. WMUR's Gene Mackin brings us some of the highlights.
This is Project Community, New Hampshire Together from Home.
Cue the house lights.
Hey, welcome to my home studio. I'm Sean McDonald.
The laptop cameras.
Nice to see you both.
Let's do it.
Hi.
And action from home.
I've certainly never done a television show from my kitchen, but we're doing it together.
We put out the call to familiar faces and voices to raise spirits and donations for the New Hampshire Food Bank.
What up, New Hampshire?
And they all answered.
I want to give a shout out to everyone who works at New Hampshire's Food Bank, as well as to everyone who may be considering making a donation.
Come on, New Hampshire, let's make some donations if we got it. Just text that number below right now and you'll feel good.
The demand at the New Hampshire Food Bank is up about 50% and donations down 50%.
And I've been homeschooling my fourth grader, so 50%, that's like almost half.
So Granite Staters far and wide are coming together.
Hey, it's Michaela Schifrin.
What's up, New Hampshire? This is two-time NBA champion and Concord native Matt Bonner.
Hey, this is the game Triple H.
Hey, New Hampshire. This is Ryan Day, head football coach at The Ohio State University.
We are the Granite State. We are stronger together.
I'm going to personally donate $5,000 to the New Hampshire Food Bank.
Thanks, Ryan Griffin. Donations big or smaller. Every dollar counts, providing 2 meals.
Make a small donation. You'll feel good. Somebody will get a good meal. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Thanks to New Hampshire's talented musicians for sharing a song.
You got to make a better day. You got to find another way.
And this blender version offered by Recycled Percussion. This will help fill the need at more than 400 food pantries and agencies across the state.
Let's help each other out.
Please make a donation to feed our Granite State neighbors in need.
One of the things I love about people from New Hampshire is they have big hearts.
This is an amazing event. I love you all. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in New Hampshire soon.
Thanks, New Hampshire. Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
And it is not too late to help the food bank. The best way is to text NH Unity to 76278. That's NH Unity to 76278. Or visit nhfoodbank.org/Project Community. The website and the text line will be open until Sunday night. Very special night. Chance to applaud the high school class of 2020. Because of the pandemic, they missed out on so much, but still kept their spirits up. And so tonight, WMUR was proud to broadcast a special event. New Hampshire's class of 2020 celebrating our seniors. WMUR's Gene Mackin brings us the highlights.
They are the high school seniors who embraced virtual pomp and circumstance.
From the beautiful shores of the seacoast, congratulations.
They took their final classes at kitchen tables.
Who would have thought our last year in high school would look like this?
When proms were canceled, dads stepped in.
To be able to get the first dance was really cool, too.
And diplomas are delivered in unique ways this year.
Despite the quarantine, the virtual graduation, and all the Zoom meetings we had to go through, we made it.
Hey, what's going on, class of 2020? It's Alex Preston here.
We asked familiar Granite State faces to share a song.
And is there a space to meet face to face?
And some commencement words of wisdom.
But I think when you look back at this graduation versus most people that get to look back at theirs, yours will be very memorable.
Life has its challenges. You've had more than your share. But challenges can lead to victories.
In fact, I think maybe you should brag a little bit.
We celebrated the victories over the high school years.
If we can all make it through this, then we certainly can make it through everything.
And our graduates shared the lessons they'll carry with them.
As overwhelming as the present times may be, we have the responsibility to use our voices for change.
Instead of being sad that our years here are complete, let's celebrate all our hard-earned accomplishments because we made it.
From all of us here at WMUR, we wish you the very best. Congratulations.
Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Griffith. We are on the air right now with breaking news. We've learned now that Air Force Two, which is carrying Vice President Mike Pence, has returned to Manchester Boston Regional Airport shortly after taking off from there around 7 o'clock tonight, following his rally up in the Lakes regions. And sources are telling us, WMUR, that the plane had landed safely moments ago, but returned to the airport after a possible bird strike. Pool reporters say the vice president and his staff will now be traveling on a separate plane back to Joint Base Andrews. We do have a crew on the way to the airport working to confirm more details. Once again, Air Force 2 returned to Manchester Boston Regional Airport shortly after taking off this evening because of a possible bird strike to Air Force 2. We will have details throughout the night tonight. Break into programming as needed. The plane did land safely back at Manchester Airport. We'll return to our regular programming and bring you up to date as details merit.
No one covers New Hampshire like we do. WMUR News 9 Tonight starts now.
And we do want to get right to breaking news at 11 o'clock tonight. Here's Vice President Mike Pence landing safely at Joint Base Andrews tonight after being delayed in Manchester. Air Force 2 hit a bird during its first takeoff and had to come back to the airport. Let's go right now to WMUR's Kristen Carosa live at the Manchester Airport with the latest for us. Kristen?
Certainly some scary moments here in Manchester tonight, Tom, but the good news is the vice president is safe and is back in D.C. This is video of the vice president on Air Force 2 just moments after leaving the runway at Manchester Boston Regional Airport. An aide to the vice president is confirming that one of the engines in Air Force 2 was hit by a bird shortly after takeoff, causing smoke and sparks.
I asked everyone around me if anyone caught that, and so everyone said no, they didn't, and so I showed video evidence, and it happened to actually show what appeared to be a bird ingested into the right engine of the aircraft.
Daniel Cerritos is a student pilot and was at the airport to capture the vice president leaving. Several others were also nearby. Together, they tracked the plane on their phones.
We were wondering what had happened, and then we saw that the aircraft climbed on a tracker, that it had climbed up, but then it had stopped climbing, as it wouldn't normally stop climbing. And it had started to descend again and start making its way back to Manchester instead of continuing on to its next destination.
These two young men say it took about 15 minutes for the plane to return.
As it landed, we saw fire trucks and emergency vehicles along different sections of the runway. And when the aircraft landed, it was met back where it was parked originally before takeoff.
The vice president was then seen walking off the plane. He helped inspect the engine and was then put on a different plane that was traveling with him, which headed back to D.C. shortly before 9 p.m.
I'm just glad that everything seems to have gone okay and that everyone's okay tonight.
No word tonight on how long the original plane will be here at the airport. We're live in Manchester. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
And at 6 o'clock, we are following several breaking stories tonight. The impact of COVID-19 in New Hampshire, the governor lifting the quarantine requirement for visitors from New England states as we head into the holiday weekend. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Griffith.
And I'm Jean Mackin. Plus, a major development in the Jeffrey Epstein story. The woman said to be his longtime companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, arrested here in New Hampshire.
The FBI taking the former British socialite into custody in Bradford, New Hampshire. According to a detention memo filed in the case, federal authorities say Maxwell was hiding in an estate that was purchased by an anonymous LLC in cash at the end of last year. WMUR's Jessica Moran has more on the case.
Bradford police assisted with the arrest, and they say it happened without incident.
Early this morning, Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested in Bradford, New Hampshire by FBI special agents and NYPD detectives from the FBI NYPD Crimes Against Children Task Force.
The FBI and United States Attorney announcing the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein's longtime companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, today. They found her at a Bradford home on East Washington Road.
We learned she had slithered away to a gorgeous property in New Hampshire, continuing to live a life of privilege while her victims live with the trauma inflicted upon them years ago.
In a press conference today, the acting United States Attorney in New York said Maxwell helped Epstein sexually exploit and abuse multiple girls, some as young as 14 years old. Maxwell is also charged with enticing and transporting the girls to engage in illegal sex acts.
Maxwell enticed minor girls, got them to trust her, then delivered them into the trap that she and Epstein had set for them.
Maxwell was previously accused by young women of recruiting them to give Epstein massages and then being pressured to have sex.
She pretended to be a woman they could trust. All the while, she was setting them up to be sexually abused by Epstein and in some cases by Maxwell herself.
Today in Concord, a magistrate judge ordered Maxwell to be detained and transported to the Southern District of New York.
When Bradford residents learned about the high-profile arrest happening in their small town, they seemed very surprised. This town only has about 1,700 residents. In Bradford, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
So the lawyer for some of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims calls the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell a step toward healing. In a statement, the attorney says prosecutors were courageous to take down a sexual trafficking scheme, and Maxwell's arrest sends a powerful message to all of Epstein's accomplices that justice will prevail.
We'll put a track on at least where the dangerous part of the storm is, the part of the storm that's rotating, and we'll get that track popped up in a minute. It's going to cross between Wakefield and Middleton over the next 20 minutes along New Hampshire 116. This is a radar-indicated rotation, so there's no indication of a tornado on the ground, at least as of this time. That may change, of course, as we watch this storm continue to drift towards the southeast here. What we'll do actually is we'll zoom out the map a little bit and put a larger track on this over the next half hour or so if it pops up there. But again, this is going to cross mainly between Wolfboro, Wakefield, and then Middleton towards the Maine border in the next half an hour. And Haley is joining us on the phone here as well. We both have been keeping an eye on this. Seemingly from a severe thunderstorm to this really incredible short burst of rotation. Now this storm is, of course, under a tornado warning. Haley, what have you found from your end so far as we look at the storm?
Hey, Eric. First off, thank you for coming in and for helping us with the coverage here. I am from home. But we have been tracking this storm for the past half hour or so. It looks like the latest radar scan that just came in does show the storm weakening, thank goodness. But still, an active tornado warning for portions of Stratford County and the Wolfboro area. If you live or know anybody who lives on Mary Meeting Lake, you want to get to shelter immediately because the storm is just to the north of Mary Meeting Lake. In northern Stratford County. So if you're in New Durham on the north side of Middleton, if you're in Wakefield, those are the communities that you need to be taking shelter immediately. This storm does have a history of having a lot of rotation in it. We were looking at the velocity data here on this Facebook Live, and I'm sure Eric's will show it too. There was a definite area of rotation, especially as it went through the Wolfboro area. I will tell you, there was a report, not confirmed, but on this Facebook Live feed of some damage along Route 109 in Wolfboro. I would not be surprised if that is the case, some tree damage, I should clarify.
Now back to that severe storm that left cottages and cars at one camping resort in Wolfboro crushed by falling trees. As WMUR's Tim Callery reports, the National Weather Service is now investigating.
I started to see just like clouds swirling, and then we sort of, my father pointed out sort of the water spout coming down from the sky and touching down.
17-year-old Ethan Vanderwater captured this video of a water spout moving just north of Moose Island on Lake Winnipesaukee.
Nobody that I've been around recently has seen anything like this for a long time, or if ever.
It was part of a storm that pushed through the Lakes region Saturday afternoon, and one that brought significant damage with it. The sounds of chainsaws echoed through the Clearwater lodges as crews removed trees that came down throughout the North Main Street property. One split this cabin in half.
We've got 4 cottages that have been with extensive damage, and then we've got 1 or 2 with holes in the roof we've got to go and patch.
Andre DeBeer says in his 20 years as owner, he's never seen a storm like this.
The phone lit up with all the apps that there was a tornado warning, and the rain started first. Sounded like a freight train coming through here, and then you could just hear trees coming down.
DeBeer is actually a lieutenant at the Wolfboro Fire Department. He says as soon as the storm stopped, his training kicked in.
It was a little bit, but I can tell you when it happens in your own house, then you get rattled.
2 cars were also heavily damaged. Despite some intense moments, no one was hurt.
One of our cleaning ladies was in the cabin, and Tree came down, as you see it, right onto the cabin, and she was very, very lucky. She came out of that. That was the only one that was occupied.
DeVere says he's just grateful the situation wasn't any worse.
We're down 4 cottages, but we'll make do somehow.
All right. Reporting in Wolfboro, Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Well, did you know the first African American to publish a novel in North America was from New Hampshire? Meet Harriet Wilson, affectionately known as Hattie. She was born in Milford. She later moved to Massachusetts, where she wrote her controversial narrative from the life of a free black. If you visit Milford's Bicentennial Park, you'll find a sculpture of Wilson, reportedly the first statue in the Granite State to honor a person of color.
And one of the people who pushed for that statue is Jerry Ann Boges. She is executive director of the Black Heritage Trail, and she was the driving force behind the Harriet Wilson Project, a nonprofit that raises awareness about Wilson's life. And decades after Harriet Wilson's death, another black author has made a name for himself in New Hampshire. Sean McDonald takes us inside Sketches of Lee. We want to warn you, some of the language may be difficult to hear.
Hey, girl. In many ways, Mike Ward is like any other resident in this rural section of Lee, raising pigs and growing veggies in the yard. But his life story differs from many because of his skin color.
One of the things that I found in telling stories about my family is it hurts. It hurts people.
When the Ward family moved to Lee, New Hampshire in the late 1950s, there were very few African Americans.
We were accepted by some people and not by others. For the most part, people that didn't accept us, just left us alone.
But the family did experience overt racism, sometimes in threatening calls to their house.
Well, we had people when we first showed up who would call and tell us we had 15 minutes to vacate the house because they were coming to burn the bastard down.
Despite that, the Ward family persevered. Mike's dad, Harold, was known for being the kind man who ran a diner in Exeter. Mike Ward would later write his family story in 2 books, known as the Sketches of Lee, filled with funny stories of adapting to cold winters, to more serious topics, like the time a teacher stopped his family from being teased at school.
Colored people have put up with enough crap in this country, and I'm not going to stand for it in my classroom. I should have been fired. I guess I was lucky. No, Mr. Woodhead, you were brave.
I'm Sean McDonald, WMUR News 9.
This is a Commitment 2020 special, Candidate Cafe.
Act natural.
It's the personal side of the presidential candidates running in the New Hampshire primary.
My father grew up on a peanut farm in Asia with no floor. And when I visited his childhood home, I was like, no way. My tolerance for alcohol is amazingly low. So in my line of work, I say enough dumb things being sober.
The candidates sit down in a Manchester diner with undecided voters.
I had a can of Moxie with my breakfast this morning.
To get away from policy and get into who they are.
The name Tulsi, I just love the name. Is there a story behind it?
It's a sacred flower from India.
Why they've decided to seek the highest office in the land.
The battle of ideas should be something we celebrate.
And the unique character each would bring to the Oval Office.
When I put on high heels and a wig and a hat, I am 8.5 feet tall.
Welcome to our Candidate Cafe special. I'm Adam Sexton. For the past 4 months, News 9 has been hosting these special gatherings at the Airport Diner in Manchester.
It's the women's side? All right. All right, there you go. All right.
Hey, everyone. Wow, what a big group.
Unlike some of our other coverage, this is a chance for people to get to know the candidates on a much more personal level and hear about their life stories, to get a better idea of the type of leader they are and would be as president. That includes the youngest candidate in the field, Democrat Pete Buttigieg of South Bend, Indiana. Our voters at the diner wanted to know more about the origins of his often mispronounced last name, as well as his military service in Afghanistan and his decision to come out while he was mayor and live as an openly gay man. What's in a name? A lot of voters call this presidential candidate Mayor Pete. but others are curious about the 9 letters and 3 syllables that follow.
So your name, Buttigieg, I don't know if you've done like Ancestry.com or anything. I did that, and it's really fascinating, the stuff you find out. I'm curious about your genealogy and your history.
Yeah. So my father immigrated to the U.S. from Malta, which is one of the smallest countries in the world. You draw a line from Sicily to Tunisia, and it'll go through Malta. And in fact, the whole country has about the same population as St. Joe County, where I live in Indiana. And the funny thing is, over there, it's like Smith. It's one of the most common names. So much so that there was a president. I wouldn't be the first President Buttigieg in the world. There was a President Buttigieg in Malta who was next door neighbors with my family Buttigiegs, and they weren't even related. The etymology of the name, Tjij means chicken. So it probably means like owner of poultry or lord of the poultry or something like that. If you go over there and you go into a crowded diner and say, "Hey, Buttigieg," a bunch of people would turn around.
Good morning, I'm Adam Sexton, and we are less than 40 hours from the first ballots being cast in the New Hampshire primary. And this week, on a special 1-hour close-up, we're sitting down live with the candidates as we get ever closer to the big day. And our first live guest this morning is Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, who's made himself a very familiar face here in New Hampshire and is looking to make a big splash on Tuesday.
Great
Senator,
to see you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You've spent a lot of time here in New Hampshire, but what are realistic expectations for you on the primary night?
I think I'd like to finish in the top 3 or 4. I think that would be great for me. Any kind of unexpected finish would be good. I've loved being here. I've been here more than any other candidate. Yesterday I finished my 50th town hall. That's after 33. And today I'm off to the North Country to Berlin and to Dixville Notch. So it's going to be cold, but it's I think a great way to finish this out.
You did 50 town halls leading up to the primary here. I don't know if you're still in process. I think you finished.
Just finished yesterday,
Just finished.
yeah.
But you were stuck in Washington for the impeachment.
Yeah.
What was the impact, do you think, on at least your campaign?
I think it hurt, but there was nothing I could do about it, and those of us that are in the Senate had a constitutional responsibility to fulfill. But I was glad to have spent the time here before and have spent the time after to be able to finish it yesterday with James Carville here in Manchester.
All right, Senator Bennet, thanks for joining
Adam.
us on Live
It's been a privilege to get to know you in this process.
A lot of fun seeing you in New Hampshire, and we'll see how you do on Tuesday night.
Thank you.
And now we're going to move on to our next interview. It's going to be in Studio B. This is the former governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He had a great time at Candidate Cafe, showed us a lot of emotion. He's been on the ground here in New Hampshire a lot, and we are joined by former Governor Deval Patrick.
I apologize for not standing, but I'm all connected here.
I know, I hear you. I love the boots,
Thank
too.
you.
Those are awesome.
It's a good day for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
So you're probably tired of getting asked the question about getting into the race late. But do you wonder sometimes what if the circumstances in your life and with your family, that what might have happened?
You folks need to put that late thing aside. Nobody's voted. I may be late, but I'm ready, and that's the difference, right? I'm the only one in this race who's actually delivered health care to 99% of the people I served. I'm the only one in this race who's developed a response to the climate crisis. Indeed, I was saying last night in the speeches we did at the McIntyre Shaheen dinner, we achieved the goals of the Paris Accord 6 years ago. I'm the only one in the race who has delivered on sentencing reform, who's delivered on terrific schools for our kids, including closing achievement gaps. I'm the only one in the race who's actually grown jobs, 25%, 25-year employment high coming out of recession. So that matters in terms of doing the job. I think in terms of beating President Trump, look, I've also built coalitions, right? I'm very much a believer in a politics that says you don't have to agree on everything before we work together on anything. And I'm in the race, late or not, because it is in fact true that there are many, many people who are either uncommitted or unconvinced. And I understand that, and I think I can fill that void if we get people to come out and vote.
Now at 11, 7 Democratic candidates facing off one last time before the first-in-the-nation primary.
What they had to say about the topics most important to New Hampshire.
We're closing 30% of New Hampshire's stores and malls, and now it comes to New Hampshire, a state that thinks for itself.
The people of New Hampshire and the people of our country deserve better.
In the rain, snow, cold, and wind, campaign supporters lined up just outside of campus for hours.
Windy and colder behind the two-day storm, how frigid it feels overnight, plus a look ahead into the changes for the weekend.
No one covers New Hampshire like we do. WMUR News 9 Tonight starts now.
The government allowed this opiate epidemic to spread throughout our communities. The reason I raise that sense of exhaustion is I see it. I see that temptation to walk away from it all among so many people that I've spoken to in communities from Claremont to Manchester and in the other states that we're in.
The world has changed. In Vermont and in New Hampshire and all over this country, people are sickened by the mass shootings that we have seen and the gun violence that we have seen.
7 Democratic candidates just wrapped up their last debate before the first-in-the-nation primary, facing off about the economy, health care, the opioid crisis, and diplomacy. Good evening, New Hampshire. I'm Tom Griffith.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Vaughn. Former Vice President Joe Biden starting the evening predicting that he could, in fact, take a hit here on Tuesday nights.
Candidates clashed over experience, ability to beat President Trump in November as well. We want to first go to one of the candidates that just joined us here on the set, Tom Steyer, who all indications are that many of the pundits are saying you had a great night tonight, Mr. Steyer.
Well, that's great. I thought that we had a robust conversation. I tried to actually talk about what's important, that we're at a stage where Democrats have to confront the fact that Donald Trump can get reelected. That we have to beat him, that all the policies in the world, and people have great policies, don't matter unless we beat him. And we're going to have to confront that reality when we're talking about who to vote for. That number one question is, can you beat Donald Trump?
You had a moment in which you were articulating that point. You had a lot of applause from the debate audience. So what does that tell you about what New Hampshire voters are paying attention to?
Look, I think what I was saying is something that everybody's thinking but didn't want to say. I think it's a scary, I ended by saying it's a perilous time. It is a perilous time. We absolutely can't afford to have Mr. Trump get reelected. Cannot afford it. And so he's running on the economy. I don't know if you guys read the union leader this morning. He had a huge full-page ad basically saying, I'm great on the economy. That's half the page. And the other page is, they stink on the economy. That he's running on that. He says it every single day. Whoever is going to be the Democratic nominee has to know enough about the economy to be able to take them down about growth and job creation and prosperity, because he's going to say there were a bunch of socialists. We don't know anything about it. You may not like me. I may be a criminal. But you know what? You got to vote for me because I can save the economy.
When you came in, you said it was good to sit down, but I'm sure there's a lot of media behind us and waiting to get a chance to talk to you. So we appreciate you coming by and talking to us here on WMUR.
Nice. Thank you so much. We've been speaking to all the candidates here, no doubt about it, throughout the night tonight. They've been stopping by our set here at WMUR, so we'll be hearing from them throughout the broadcast tonight. WMUR's Gene Mackin is going to start our team coverage for us first from Sullivan Arena with some of the biggest highlights from tonight's big debate. Gene?
Well, we certainly heard a lot of raised voices on this debate stage tonight, how to handle everything from the Middle East to health care, the economy, gun violence. But it was clear the goal was to send a message after the Iowa results and before New Hampshire votes. One topic kept returning to center stage: which Democrat can defeat President Donald Trump?
Everybody up here, by the way, is united. No matter who wins this damn thing, we're all going to stand together to defeat Donald Trump.
Several candidates took aim at Pete Buttigieg's age and experience.
I don't think that's what people want right now. We have a newcomer in the White House, and look where it got us.
If you're looking for the person with the most years of Washington establishment experience under their belt, you've got your candidate, and of course it's not me. We need a perspective right now that will finally allow us to leave the politics of the past in the past.
The politics of the past, I think, were not all that bad. Who is most likely to help get a senator elected in North Carolina, Georgia? Who can win Florida, Pennsylvania, Minnesota? Who can do that? Because you got to be able to win those.
WMUR political director Adam Sexton and Monica Hernandez asked questions important to New Hampshire voters.
How would you make sure treatment is available for all overdose patients?
You have to look at the companies that profited to the tune of tens of billions of dollars
in profits of essentially blood money. As president, we will take back those profits and put them to work right here in New Hampshire.
We have someone in the White House that has told over 15,000 lies. He makes all kinds of promises. The people of New Hampshire and the people of our country deserve better. I will get this done, and it is personal for me.
If you could change one thing about America's gun culture, what would it be?
When America across this country, including gun owners, agree in certain basic things, universal background checks, get assault weapons off the streets, why can we not even get a vote in the United States Senate?
Here's the deal. Those chief executive officers of those drug companies, they should not only be fined, they should go to jail.
And heated arguments over issues led to this moment.
The question is, who can go toe-to-toe with Mr. Trump? Who can take down Mr. Trump because he's the real threat to the country? And let me say, you have to have experience to take him down.
And we are joined live now by former Vice President Joe Biden, fresh off the debate stage. How do you feel it went tonight here in New Hampshire?
Well, I know I'm an underdog here in New Hampshire, but I'm going to be able to fight for those people like my family who make that longest walk, knowing you don't have a job and where you're going to get the next paycheck, and that's why I'm in this race. That's what it's about.
You made the comment that you felt that you took a hit in Iowa and might even take a hit in New Hampshire.
Well, I think that, look, New Hampshire traditionally has supported the neighboring senators or candidates running for president. And Bernie won here by 20 points last time. Elizabeth is a Massachusetts, you know, I mean, all the television but you guys is coming in from Massachusetts. And so I think it does put you a little behind the 8 ball. But I've asked the voters of New Hampshire to look me over. They like what they see, help out, if not vote for the other guy. But no matter what happens, I'm still in the race for the same reasons. And I just can't. I've taken some hits, but I'll be darned if we're going to take a hit of losing this country to Donald Trump.
We heard Pete Buttigieg says it's not time for the politics of the past. You did not like that comment.
No, because look at the past. Look what Barack and I did. We passed the Violence Against Women Act, the $900 billion bill we passed to make sure we got out of it. We got us out of a depression, and it helped his city. He didn't mention that part. Also, making sure that I did everything from helping end the war in Bosnia with Milosevic, as well as being part of the guy that put together the climate accord, as well as the deal with Iran. I was a major part of putting that together. And so I want to know what he thinks Barack and I did was so bad the previous 8 years. I haven't figured that one out.
You're clearly talking about experience here on the campaign trail in the first in the nation primary state. What do we expect from Joe Biden over the next few days?
Well, you expect me to be knocking on doors, going all across up and down this state until Election Day. I'm not leaving here. They're going to get tired of seeing me.
Mr. Vice President, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate you and your time on the debate stage.
For you, I know. Thank you.
Now we want to send it back to Jen and Tom in the spin room.
All right, leave it to Gene Mack in the corner of the Vice President and get the first interview with him. That's fantastic.
Mayor Pete Buttigieg joined us right here on our set right after he left the debate set, and here's what he had to say.
My point is that I bring a different perspective. If you're looking for the most years in Washington, then of course I'm not going to be your pick. But right now, I see so many Americans who are hungry for change, hungry for a chance to leave the politics of the past and do something different. I've got governing experience, I've got military experience, but this for me is about the future, not about the past. And we're at a moment where the next president is going to face issues that are just fundamentally different than what we've seen in years past as a country. Everything from the way the gig economy is changing what it is to be a worker, to what coronavirus reminds us of in terms of global health security challenges. It's going to take that new perspective to govern, and I think that's also what it's going to take in order to win. We should have no illusions about the challenge of beating Donald Trump, and in order to do that, we're going to need a nominee and a politics that pulls as many people as we can along with us. That's been the focus of our campaign. It's serving us very well right now.
And a busy weekend ahead for you here in New Hampshire.
Yes, because we know we got to earn that New Hampshire vote. New Hampshire is famously independent. We respect that, and it's why I'm going to make the most of every moment I get to get in front of voters and share that vision.
So there you go. We're happy too right now to have our own Adam Sexton with us, who was asking questions on the big stage tonight. Congratulations. Good night for you.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, good night for New Hampshire in general, and it's such an exciting moment. You know, it's like Christmas and the Super Bowl all rolled into one here. This is really one of those showcases.
So what are your thoughts on? We were just talking that it was kind of surprising to hear Joe Biden indicate at the very top of his first statement out of the gate that he probably won't do real well in New Hampshire.
I think this debate didn't have one of those sort of knockout moments or sort of one of those posterized kind of things where there was a takedown or anything that people are going to really remember. But right off the bat, how odd was that Joe Biden came out and said, yeah, I took a hit in Iowa, I'm probably going to take a hit here in New Hampshire. This is the former Vice President of the United States, one of the front runners in this race for a long time, and the polls show him basically bleeding out support to Pete Buttigieg right now in a dramatic fashion. And for him to make that kind of admission on a national debate stage, gosh, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that, having covered the primary for now 4 cycles. But a couple other things that stood out to me. Pete Buttigieg, who's on the rise in those polls, played it pretty safe tonight. You saw him sort of take what was given, and always with the message of unity. Came back to that theme again and again. He's really looking, it sounds to me, for those independent and undeclared voters here in New Hampshire, and as he likes to call them, the quote, future former Republicans. Yeah. If there are those people out here in New Hampshire who were Republican and don't like President Trump and they're looking for an alternative, he is making that play over and over again. So if people were thinking for him, looking for him to fight back against the insults or anything like that, it was almost like every time he was pivoting toward, okay, I'll take that incoming, I'll address it, and then I'm going to talk to you, these New Hampshire voters. One last thing, Amy Klobuchar, my little boxing scorecard here, she had the most zingers by far. Calling Pete the cool newcomer was a repeated thing there. Also on Bernie Sanders, you can't out-divide the divider-in-chief. So she landed a few punches, got some zingers in here and there, but really a great night across the board for all of these candidates.
Congratulations to you.
Over the weekend, I would say. Thank you, Adam.
All 3 major Democratic candidates did not meet the requirements set by the party to participate in tonight's debate.
Coming up next tonight, the message to voters from Tulsi Gabbard, Michael Bennett, and Deval Patrick.
Plus, tens of thousands of power outages across parts of the great state of New Hampshire at this hour. We'll fill you in.
That's right. Winds contributing to the power outage numbers. Cold night ahead. What follows for the weekend into early next week is coming up.
We should all stand and give Colonel Vindman a show of how much we supported him. Stand up and clap for Vindman. Get up there. Who we are. That's who we are. We are not what Trump is.
And the candidates were also asked tonight about topics most important to New Hampshire.
WMUR's Monica Hernandez joined political director Adam Sexton to ask some of those questions tonight. Monica joins us live from inside the debate hall with what some of them had to say. Nice job tonight, Monica.
Well, thank you, Tom and Jen. And, you know, Granite Staters have been telling us for years that the opioid crisis is one of their biggest concerns. We pressed the candidates on specifics on their plans and whether their message has stayed consistent. You have called for the decriminalization of all drugs. Does that include heroin, meth, and cocaine, some of the drugs that have contributed to this crisis?
No, what I've called for is that incarceration should no longer be the response to drug possession.
With all due respect, Mayor Buttigieg, on your website it says that you called for decriminalization of all drugs.
Again, what I'm calling for is that we end the use of incarceration as a response. This does not mean that it will be lawful to produce or distribute those kinds of harmful drugs.
How would you make sure treatment is available for all overdose patients, and what would you do to fill the gap in the meantime?
That's what we have to change, Monica. I've heard heartbreaking stories from families here in New Hampshire that have been destroyed, torn apart by the opiate epidemic. And you have to look at the companies that profited to the tune of tens of billions of dollars in profits of essentially blood money.
If addiction is a disease, should people be arrested for it? And as a prosecutor, do you regret sending people with substance abuse issues to jail?
I led one of the most successful drug courts in the country in Hennepin County, and I always would say and believed, and I think my record shows this, that we weren't a business. We didn't want to see repeat customers. And if you don't want to see repeat customers, the only answer is treatment. And maybe you're referring to some of the people who were dealing big time in drugs. Yes, I felt that we should prosecute those people.
And my colleague Adam Sexton asked the candidates about gun laws and Second Amendment rights. We'll get to those questions in just a little bit. Live in the Sullivan Arena, Monica Hernandez, WMUR News 9.
Now, Chief Meteorologist Mike Haddad with your Stormwatch 9 forecast.
Combination of freezing rain adding weight to the trees and power lines in the form of some ice accumulation today, and then gusty winds contributing to over 40,000 outages earlier in the evening. Now that number coming down a little bit. We're down to about 25,000, but still a lot of customers without electricity. The wind's still active out of the west-northwest. Seen in Manchester right now. Fair skies, a few clouds, but no more snow, freezing rain, or sleet. 25-degree temperature with a dew point of 15, but the feel-like temperature much lower than the number on the thermometer, courtesy of that gusty wind out of the west-northwest. Teens and 20s across the board. You factor in these winds right now. On average, they're 10 to 25 miles per hour, but gusting even higher, over 35 at times. So we could see a few additional outages here or there right into the early part of Saturday morning. Future winds, notice how they continue to gust right through Saturday, at least midday, early afternoon, and then the winds will slacken off. They'll really lighten up by the afternoon, especially late day into the evening. Overnight tonight, quite cold. Single digits north, 10 to 15 for many, and right around 20 along the immediate coastline and in downtown Manchester. All of the snow, sleet, freezing rain gone except for lingering flakes across the Great North Woods and parts of the White Mountains, maybe an additional dusting to an inch or two in the mountaintops. Otherwise, dry for tonight. Clouds beginning to break, so we do have the fair skies building in, and we'll see that played out even up north by early tomorrow. So it's a bright, sunny day tomorrow for Saturday, but the clouds will build up on Sunday, and they could produce a few flurries during the course of the afternoon. So on average, what we're talking about is sunshine for the day tomorrow into Sunday, a little bit of sun, and then the clouds will build in. A chance of a few flurries. We're not talking about much in the way of impact on travel, maybe a spot dusting in any one given community. And then later Sunday night into about, say, early afternoon on Monday, we'll see bands of snow showers moving through. May have an impact on travel into early on Monday morning in terms of temperatures below freezing and a dusting to an inch of snow. So something to keep in mind as these snow showers kind of strengthen a little bit during the course of early Monday. That's why we have a medium impact due to weather on travel for Monday morning. Relatively low for the upcoming weekend, good news. And also good news for primary day, relatively low impact. Maybe a couple of mixed showers coming in later on in the afternoon. Tomorrow, only around 10 north to the mid-20s south, feeling even colder with that busy wind. For the next 7 days ahead, the coldest will be Sunday morning. Sub-zero anywhere from Concord north and west, at least 10 to 20 below zero in some spots. By the time we get to Monday, again, snow and mixed showers winding down late. There could be a mixed shower later on Tuesday, and then some sunshine works back in for Wednesday. After that, the next system, Thursday night into Friday. Right now, back to you, Tom and Jen.
Looks like a good voting day. I guess that's what counts most, huh?
Right.
So Senator Amy Klobuchar was the first to join us right after the debate, and here's what she had to say.
What I am for is making Obamacare better, and that means making it really clear that we're going to make it easier for people to afford prescription drugs and the like.
So, Senator, we're going to have a lot of independents that are voting in this primary. Many of them will opt to pull a Democratic ballot. Many of them are moderate or maybe even Republican. How do you lure them over in the next couple of days?
Well, I hope just like I've done in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm someone that have brought in independent voters in a big, big way. The only one on that stage that has won Republican congressional districts over and over again, including Michelle Bachmann's district. And I do it by looking people in the eye, telling them the truth, and bringing them with me. And I think that my type of politics, which isn't in the extremes, but it is actually focused on getting things done, passing bills, looking out for people, as I just said in the closing. I think that's going to win in New Hampshire, and I'm just hoping that New Hampshire sees through all the big bank accounts and looks at who can actually, as the union leader and the Keene Sentinel and the Seacoast Papers, all of which endorse me, have pointed out, can really bring people together in this country, as well as my own political party.
I'm sure you were hoping to finish higher in Iowa, and as those numbers still continue to settle, what do you consider a win for you here in New Hampshire?
Well, I'm not, you guys will determine that on election night, but I just know that we have the kind of team. We have the great, Scott Merrick is heading up our team here, who is a former legislator, worked for Senator Shaheen, and we just have a lot of endorsements out there. Today, former Brigadier General Ambassador Smith was out with the Brigadier General from Massachusetts out there speaking for me, along with Joe Sestak, also a member of the military who served in Congress, because they understand that I'm someone that's going to bring decency back to the White House. And New Hampshire is such a good government state. Practically everyone seems like they're elected to something in your state. And I think I'm that kind of candidate. So that's going to be my plan for the next 4 days.
You've had a long week, and you're going to need some rest tonight.
Right.
And then up and at 'em over the weekend?
I'll be ready. Oh, we're going everywhere. Lebanon, we're going to, of course, Nashua, Manchester, you name it. We'll be everywhere.
You got the whole
so
area
we'll see you
figured out.
around.
She was just moments off the debate stage. Senator Amy Klobuchar coming and sitting with us here on our WMUR set.
Everybody who comes to New Hampshire learns the geography around here. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. So there's certainly been a big buzz all across the St. Anselm campus today, with campaign supporters rallying before the candidates even took the stage.
WMUR's Mike Cronin joins us live now outside of St. Anselm College with their reaction. Mike?
Yeah, candidates aren't the only ones trying to earn the votes. They have hundreds of supporters making phone calls, knocking on doors, and campaigning like they did here tonight. A cold, wet, and raw night didn't stop these people.
Neither rain nor sleet nor dark of night.
Dozens of staffers, volunteers, and supporters of the candidates who made the debate stage came out to hold signs.
I support Mayor Pete because he is the antithesis of the person who holds the office today. Pete is compassionate, he's honest, he's intelligent, he's got dignity. What more do you want?
She's middle America. She's very smart. She's highly capable. She has a lot of vitality. And if people come to know her, they would realize that she's an excellent candidate.
Just outside the entrance to St. Anselm College, they lined up to show why they believe in their candidate.
Andrew's been having conversations with people. That's what he's been doing. It's been about talking to people, going to where they're going, and talking about the issues. Not talking about the candidates, not talking about the president, talking about what is really the problem going on in this country.
Trump is dirty, he's nasty, and Biden is a gentleman. He's a gentleman that can confront Trump, not in the gutter, but from a higher level.
The environment needs attention. So I hope when he is in there, if he's elected, that he keeps true to his word.
The campaign's feeling optimistic in the home stretch of New Hampshire's primary.
Around the office, it's nothing but high hopes. Obviously, it's going to be a tough battle. No matter which candidate you're representing right now, it is anyone's game, I feel like.
And while we were at that rally, we did not see crowds of supporters holding signs for Bernie Sanders or Tom Steyer. Reporting live at St. Anselm College, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, Mike, thanks so much. And we are working on much more for our extended edition of News 9 tonight.
We'll be right back.
We're in New Hampshire, a very level-headed group of people. Look at the numbers. How much is it going to cost? Who's going to pay for it? It will cost more than the entire federal budget we spend now.
Well, for a start, what the studies show, if we do what Joe wants, we'll be spending some $50 trillion on health care over the next 10 years.
I have long believed that the way that we expand health care to more people and bring down premiums is by building on the Affordable Care Act with a nonprofit public option.
And thank you for staying with us for this special extended edition of News 9 tonight. I'm Tom Griffith.
And I'm Jennifer Vaughn. The Democratic candidates for president faced off for the last time before first-in-the-nation primary votes on Tuesday. And you saw it right here on WMUR.
So let's go to WMUR's Jean Mack, and she's live now, still in the debate hall, with some of the highlights for us. Jean?
Well, this debate has come to an end, and we have a lot to talk about over the next few days as the New Hampshire primary approaches. The 7 candidates on the stage really took some time to deliver their visions for the country. They talked about some very important issues, things like health care, gun control, opioids, health care, a major talking point throughout the debate, as well as addressing the opioid epidemic. Andrew Yang and other candidates saying the federal government is fiscally responsible, or that drug companies are fiscally responsible as well for helping people. The candidates also reacted to Wednesday's acquittal of President Trump in the impeachment trial, but they disagreed on whether he should continue to be investigated.
I believe in an independent commission in our Justice Department that investigates crimes committed by our own government.
The countries that have thrown past presidents into jail have generally been developing countries, and unfortunately that's a pattern that once you establish is very, very hard to break.
The saddest aspect of this whole thing is you have Republicans in the Senate who knew better.
Right now what we have to do is we have to beat him in November. And we have to beat him because he's incompetent and bad for the American people.
There was some talk on this debate stage about some of the senators having a disadvantage being pulled off the campaign trail and into that impeachment trial. But now that is over, and Iowa is, for all intents and purposes, over. And they really have to look forward at this point to the New Hampshire primary. Back to you, Jen and Tom, in the spin room.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Gene. And we're joined back by Adam Sexton, who is a moderator tonight asking questions. He and Monica took up the issue of drugs and guns.
Yeah, we wanted to set the scene for 2 issues that are important to New Hampshire, right? And we get our allotted time in this debate, and we wanted to make it count for issues that matter to Granite Staters. Obviously, the opioid crisis, a huge issue, and those were Monica's questions there. And, you know, you had those candidates, a bunch of them wanted to jump in because they've done so much homework on this. They all wanted to show off their policies and talk a little bit about that. Couldn't get to everybody on that question. Then also the issue that I asked about firearms policy. New Hampshire is a battleground right now, especially at the State House when you talk about background checks, waiting periods, things like that. And this is a state that's a purple state, and there are very strong advocates in favor of gun control. There are very strong advocates in favor of Second Amendment rights. So 2 key issues for New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So most polls would show that Bernie Sanders is holding an advantage here in New Hampshire, as he did back in 2016, of course. And debate night back then, Bernie was the first one to come over to our WMUR set post-debate. We haven't seen him yet tonight. So what are some differences that you've seen with the candidacy back then of Sanders and the one we see now?
And you ask, I mean, you have to think, how much does this matter in the big scheme of things? Not much, but it's the little details sometimes. And Bernie Sanders in 2015 and 16 was the insurgent. You know, he needed to get out here and spin and come out to the WMUR stage and really pound the pavement to get those things. Now, this is a candidate who's looking beyond New Hampshire and needs to win in a number of other states as well. The campaign has a much more national flavor to it, and I think Senator Sanders is someone who doesn't necessarily like to do the niceties and pleasantries, and if he can get away with not doing it, he doesn't. But the key here for him is Pete Buttigieg is catching up to him here in New Hampshire. And is it going to catch up to Bernie Sanders that he's not doing the little granular things, like, say, coming out here to talk to us, that he did in the past?
How do you think Joe Biden did tonight?
You know, I think, you know, if there is a debate moment to come out of this, and sometimes that's what goes on in the spin room here, is everyone talks about it and is like, what really happened here tonight? It was shocking to hear him come out at the very beginning of this debate and essentially declare, I'm going to lose New Hampshire. He didn't say it in those words, but said, I'm going to take a punch to the gut here just like I did in Iowa. That's odd. I mean, it's just something you just don't see in politics. To see a former vice president, someone of his stature, who has led in polls nationwide and particularly done well here in New Hampshire, a co-front runner basically through this entire race, essentially giving up.
Looking towards South Carolina, I guess. All right. Thanks, Adam, very much. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren spoke with us earlier, and here's what she had to say.
We have to pull our party together. And if we're going to beat Donald Trump, we also have to pull in some independents and Republicans. And I think the way that we do that is that we run on the kinds of issues that Democrats can run on up and down the ticket. You know, I get out a lot right here in New Hampshire, and I talk about how we've got a government that works great. for those at the top, for billionaires, for giant corporations, just not working for much of anyone else. And when you see a government that does that, that's corruption. Pure and simple. And people all around the room nod. They get it. They get that they're getting the short end of the stick. I have the biggest anti-corruption plan since Watergate. It's something that all Democrats can come together on, and we're going to pull in a lot of Republicans and independents on it as well. I think that's how we do it. We talk about core Democratic values, and we make clear who we're going to get out there and fight for.